Welcome back to Multiversal Studios. If you haven't already gone and watched part 1, make sure you go do that now. I'll leave the link pinned in the comments down below. Alright, you watched it? Alright, let's begin. Let's go back to where we last left off. Marek and Seto were facing each other at the top of the tower, ready for the finals. However, before we explore the outcome of the duel, I want to look at the two duelists individually and talk about their strengths and why this duel will be super close. So make sure you watch till the end of the video to find out the result between Marek versus Seto Kaiba. Marek Ishtar is no longer in charge. The person dueling Seto is the evil side of him, and when it comes to dueling, you're probably thinking, what's the difference? Well, the difference is considerably high. Yami Marek has proved countless times that he's far more dangerous. When you look at the duel between Yami Marek and Yami Bakura is helped by the good side of Marek in order to overwhelm and destroy Yami Marek. However, not only does he fail in doing that, we also discovered that there are secrets to the Winged Dragon of Ra even the good side of Marek didn't know about. Now this shows that Yami Marek, even though he was created inside the same person, their knowledge and dueling abilities are completely different. And also the fact that Bakura managed to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra but wasn't able to use it to its full potential, which only a few duelists are able to do, Yami Marek being one of them. Yami Marek also has a large amount of shadow magic and experience when it comes to shadow games. You can also see the creativity in his magic, as every shadow game he created, he tailored it perfectly in order to mess with the person psychologically and physically. Against Mai, he chose the shadow game, where Mai would lose the memory of a friend each time they lost life points. Now this was tailored to Mai specifically. In Battle City, she had accepted that she had friends, and after a previous conversation with Joey, she was questioning whether she was accepted by them or not.
Right, it's Joey! And I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, Mai, cause we're friends.
We're friends? Us?
You know it, and I'm always here for you.
So losing the memory of all her friends put her back to where she was before, all alone. Now in the manga, Mai's punishment was physical pain. However, I personally believe in the anime it was more creative. Now against Joey, who had tough willpower and had broken through Marek's mind games once before, Yami Marek chose physical pain. Every time Joey lost a monster, he would take damage. And this is exactly how Joey ended up losing, due to falling unconscious. Against Atem, Marek was able to use Little Yugi as the one who suffers. He chose the person closest to Atem, and every time Atem loses life points, a part of Yugi's body would disappear. Now Marek being the master of shadow games, as well as being able to manipulate people's fears and making them into reality, with all this in mind, Marek is a formidable opponent. And let's not forget that he owns the most powerful Egyptian god card, which is ranked higher than Slifer and Obelisk. And Marek knows every secret to do with that card, to use it at its full potential. Dangerous. Seto Kaiba is also nothing to joke about. He currently owns both Egyptian god cards, Obelisk the Tormentor and Slifer the Sky Dragons, two of the 3 Egyptian god cards after winning it from Yugi. Kaiba is the most creative when it comes to deck building, using his computer as well as his own genius in order to work out the best counter to every duelist and deck. Seto spent a long time deciphering the abilities of the Winged Dragon of Ra. However, whilst doing so, discovered that he could read the text due to his ancient Egyptian counterpart. Seto also knows the secrets of Ra, however probably not to the same extent of Yami Marek. In the original timeline, Seto found the perfect card to counter the god Ra, the Fiend Sanctuary card. Now this card isn't rare to obtain. However, to find a card like this in order to counter Ra requires immense knowledge of the game and resources, both of which he has. This probably isn't all he prepared as well. Seto probably altered his deck so he could counter Marek's. We can't also forget one of Seto's biggest advantages against Marek in this duel. Seto may not own a Millennium item and may not be able to compete against Marek in a shadow game. However, the Millennium Rod used to be owned by pre-Seto. Seto Kaiba still has a connection with the item, as we saw in the duel versus the Shizu, so the item still has a connection with Seto. Now let's see how the duel would play out. The stage is set. Both Marek and Seto Kaiba stood towering over the rubble of the destroyed island around them. Seto Kaiba with a cold calculating expression against Marek with a cunning evil grin. Before the duel begins, there's a tense exchange of words between Kaiba and Marek. Kaiba, confident and brimming with arrogance, dismisses Marek's tactics as inferior. However, Marek grins, waiting to see if Kaiba will still be that confident when he realizes the shadow game that will begin. With both decks shuffled, both players head to the opposite side of the dueling arena, which is where Marek unveils his Millennium Rod, telling Kaiba that they were about to enter a shadow game like nothing he'd experienced before. Marek's Millennium Rod flashed a bright gold, and Seto felt a strange feeling inside of him. The only feeling he could compare it to was a similar feeling in Duelist Kingdom when Pegasus used his Millennium Eye to take his soul. It felt like he was being taken to a different dimension where his body felt heavier. When he looked to his right, he saw Mokuba in chains and with what looked like a rope attached to Mokuba's chest connecting to Kaiba's dual disc. On the other side of the field, it was a similar setup, with the good Marek being attached to Yami Marek's dual disc. Kaiba was furious and asked Marek to explain himself, which he gladly did. Whenever anyone takes life point damage, it is the person on their right who takes the damage as physical pain, until they can no longer endure anymore. So in the duel, if Seto Kaiba takes any life points, Mokuba would be the one to pay the price. Marek had found Seto's weakness, his baby brother Mokuba. However, Mokuba told Seto with a brave expression that he could handle the damage and rooted Seto to win the duel. And so the duel began. Kaiba's once confident stature wavering with the thought of Mokuba taking the brunt of the damage. The psychological warfare from Marek had taken a toll on him, and Kaiba had to change his game plan to make sure he doesn't lose any life points. Marek grins as he takes his first turn. It was a win-win for him. He couldn't care less if the good Marek takes damage. Good riddance. Marek uses the card Hand Destruction. Both players discard their entire hand and draw a fresh hand. Marek sets 3 cards face down and ends his turn. In retaliation, Seto Kaiba opens a strong hand, hoping to end this duel as fast as possible. He summons the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, attempting to end this duel with one singular neutron blast. Marek counters with Diffusion, separating the beast into 3 singular Blue Eyes White Dragons. This was the same move which almost lost him the duel against Yugi. However, Kaiba wasn't finished. He activated Lullaby of Obedience, which in the anime, he pays 1000 life points to declare 1 card in Marek's deck and add it to Seto's hand. Marek laughed as Kaiba yelled out the Winged Dragon of Ra. Marek was used to people stealing his Ra after the duel against Mai. Marek only laughed and handed over his god card to Seto Kaiba, not knowing that Kaiba had done his research. Kaiba sacrificed all 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons in order to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra. However, what ended up happening was a giant orb was summoned into the sky. Marek called Seto Kaiba a fool. Only Marek knew the secrets of Ra. However, Seto shocked Marek. Lightning started to come down from the sky as Seto Kaiba started the ancient chant.
Almighty protector of the sun and sky, I beg of thee please heed my cry. Transform thyself from orb of light and bring me victory in this fight. I beseech this humble game. But first I shall call out thy name, Winged Dragon of Ra.
The orb began to unravel, the Winged Dragon of Ra descended from the sky, and Marek's confident expression was gone. He didn't realize Kaiba knew the ancient chant. Ra absorbed the attack of each of his tributes, so with 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, the total of Ra's attack went up to 9,000. Seto let out a tremendous laugh and passed his turn to Marek. Marek was looking a little worried until he drew his next card. Marek activated Shallow Grave. Both players are able to bring back 1 card from their graveyard. Kaiba chose his Blue Eyes White Dragon, whereas Marek chose his Boganian. Marek has something in mind. Now that Kaiba had 2 monsters on board, Marek tributed both his Blue Eyes White Dragon and the Winged Dragon of Ra to summon Lava Golem, sending Ra to the graveyard. With Lava Golem on board, Seto loses life points every turn, and on Kaiba's next turn, he took 500 life points. And when this happened, Mokuba next to Kaiba screamed in pain as a jolt of electricity coursed through his body. Seto Kaiba was furious, seeing his little brother pay the price for him losing life points. And as the duel continued, things began to become increasingly worse for Seto, with him losing his focus while worrying about Mokuba. His ambition to win was halted by Mokuba taking the pain from him losing life points, putting Kaiba on the defensive. And now with the Egyptian god card Ra in the graveyard, Marek was in his element, as his entire deck strategy was bringing Ra back from the graveyard and decimating Kaiba's board. It didn't matter which god Kaiba summoned. The Ra's Phoenix mode burned a hole right through Slifer and Obelisk, and when the time came, Seto realized that defeat was knocking on his door. He held Mokuba in his arms as Marek unleashed Ra's fury. Seto shielded Mokuba with his body and apologized. Mokuba, still in incredible pain, told Seto there was nothing to apologize for and that he did his best. Seto took the full brunt of Ra and his soul was taken to the Shadow Realm. Mokuba was unconscious from the damage he had taken from the duel, leaving only 1 person standing, which was Marek. Marek Ishtar was the winner of Battle City. Marek walked over, taking the 2 final cards from Seto's deck, Obelisk the Tormentor and Slifer the Sky Dragon, completing his collection. Yami Marek had everything he needed and there was no one left to oppose him. He now had the power to shape the world in his image. Now guys, if you think this story would have gone differently or you have your own thoughts on this duel, let me know in the comments down below. Also, make sure you like and subscribe guys. Until next time.